Is the head coach of the defending NFC champion Carolina Panthers. Ron Rivera is back with us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Welcome back, Coach. How are you this morning?
Doing great, Greeny. How are you?
We're great, and it's terrific to have you back again. And obviously, congratulations on what was a wonderful season last year that clearly didn't end the way you would have liked it to. And we hear a whole lot. You were a Super Bowl winning player in your day. We hear a lot about a post-Super Bowl hangover, just how difficult that defeat is. I don't mean to start your morning off on a sour note, but what has been your experience over these few months now since the game and the way that you will utilize it in some way to help your team going forward this season?
Well, you know what I've tried to do is I've tried to study a little bit about that Super Bowl loss hangover. I went back, read a whole bunch of articles about teams that lost in the Super Bowl most recently. I tried to read what Pete Carroll said and what John Fox said after they lost a couple of years back. I met with Coach Madden. I talked to Tony La Russa. I reached out to William McRaven, the retired naval admiral, and just kind of asked about dealing with defeat and how do you do those things, and just listening to what everybody talked about and how important it is to get back on the horse and start from the bottom and work your way back up. So it's been a very productive offseason for me in terms of trying to learn and understand, and hopefully I can put it to good use.
Do you bring the team into that, even so much as in the film room showing the tape, not the whole game, but parts of it for motivational reasons? Do you go that far in your coaching techniques?
No, that I haven't done. What I've done is I most certainly have talked about it. I did talk about the opportunities we missed, the things that we didn't do. Again, I want to give credit to Denver. I mean, they did some really good things against us, but there were some things that we didn't do as well, and there were some decisions that we could have made that would have been better. There's some plays we could have made that would have been better, and as coaches, there's some plays that we could have called or should have called or should not have called, and that's all part of the game. And we're going to learn from this experience, and hopefully we can use it going forward.
Changes the dynamic a little bit too. Ron Rivera, coach of the Panthers. I read a really interesting story about several of your veteran leaders right as training camp was beginning, so probably 2 weeks or so ago, who were basically themselves saying, look, for us it's Super Bowl or bust. We were so close last year. A guy like Cam Newton's got a lot of career left, but you have several really high-profile veterans on your team that tasted it and got so close, and that their mentality now is we have to finish the job. How different is that mentality from one where you're just trying to catch up to people to now where you have a lot of players on your team who feel like the goal this year and anything else would be a disappointment is to win the whole thing?
I can appreciate that, and again, especially coming from a guy like Charles Johnson, Mike Colbert, guys that came back and had opportunities to go somewhere else for a little bit more money, but decided to stay and want to try and finish this out. And I think that's tremendous, and I think it's admirable, and I think it should be a shot in the arm to their teammates that, hey, here are these guys that really believe in us. And most certainly, they came back for that specific reason, is that they really feel we're a good football team. We're in a good position. We have an opportunity. Now we got to go out and do it. I think that's something that speaks well for the culture that we've built here, but also for who they are as young men, that these guys, realize that maybe the grass isn't greener. Maybe this is my best opportunity.
Well, and where are you now going into week 2 in the preseason of what you want to accomplish? Kelvin Benjamin to be back this year after missing last year. You're in this day and age of the NFL and the new CBA as far as practices are concerned. How are you pushing forward with that fine line of preparing the team but also making sure of health?
That's a great question, Golick. Mike, and as hard as it is during training camps when you're in the two-a-days, trying to stay healthy. Now you're in one-a-days trying to stay healthy, but at the same time you're also trying to get enough practice. Enough practice time. And it's hard. It really is. And sometimes you feel like you don't have enough time in the day, and you want to do more, but you can't. Then you get 2 or 3 guys injured. Now all of a sudden it changes the whole dynamics. And we've had a little bit of that. We got a couple of young guys that we're counting on to be part of what we want to do, and they've missed some time because of some injuries, and that's kind of slowed our pace down. But having done that, what it does for us as far as the young guys are concerned, it gives us a chance to go over and review and kind of reinforce the things that we've learned in the first couple of weeks. So, I guess you just try to adapt as your team goes along. And if there's an injury or, and again, nothing serious, but an injury where a guy's not on the field for 3 or 4 days, as a coaching staff, we've had to, okay, hey, let's slow this installation down, let's change this, and let's review that. That's kind of what's had to happen. And you know as well as anybody, Mike, having played the game, that it's so important to get those installations in as soon as you can, so you can constantly rework them. And we've been able to do that for the most part. But as I said, we had to slow down for a few days because we had a couple of the key young guys that we're counting on. They weren't able to be on the practice field.
He is at Riverboat Ron HC on Twitter. Ron Rivera, the coach of the Panthers, with us. And, of course, with your team, it begins with the quarterback who was the league MVP last year. And one of the things that he probably has learned is that now every single thing he does is news, from however it is he handles post-game press conferences at the Super Bowl to being on the cover of GQ to and both Mike and I thought it was ridiculous he wasn't listed as a Tier 1 quarterback when they did these rankings last week. What sorts of conversations have you had with him about that through the offseason and going into this year?
With him, the biggest thing obviously is he is who he is. He's not going to change that. And we talked a little bit about what happened after the Super Bowl and how he handled it. And the truth is, he's not going to make an apology for it. And I support him 100% because we sit here and we talk about we want instant feedback from the player. We want to put him on the podium. We want to see how he reacts. And he reacted the way he did. Well, guess what? That's who he is. So don't criticize him for being who he is if that's what you want. If you want to put him on immediately, you're going to get what you get. Appreciate the fact that this is a young man that hates to lose, doesn't want to lose, and doesn't handle losing very well. He doesn't go out and destroy things. No, he just gets up in front of the media and doesn't handle it well. Well, that's who he is. If you want somebody that can handle it, let me do it. I'm the head coach, and I know people are going to blow me up for this, but guess what? That's what I'm here for. I'm the guy with the broad shoulders. I'm the guy that's supposed to deal with these situations, circumstances. I'll be happy to get up in front and talk about it.
Well, I mean, Greeny, we can talk about Cam being the leader, but me being a former defensive guy, I'm sure you'd appreciate it. I think it's K1 Short and Luke Kuechly, quite honestly. Starting right up the gut on that defense, Coach. I mean, that's the heart and soul of this team, that front seven. Your defense, I mean, Cam he deserves everything he gets, but that defense really is where you guys are built, is it not?
It is, and I'll agree with what you say because, again, being a former defensive player, the whole thing that we always point to is that defense wins championships. And again, a great example is what happened last year, and again, credit to Denver. But I do think a lot of things do start with our quarterback, obviously. But when you look at who we are and how we're built, especially on the defensive side, you see that physicality right through the middle, starting with KK Short and started to Laley and then Luke and Thomas Davis, and then Kurt Coleman playing center field for us back there as our safety. We feel very comfortable with what we've got. We think we've got a good core of guys, and they most certainly do lead us and do a lot of great things. But the rallying point always seems to come right back to our quarterback because of who he is. He's a dynamic personality that draws people. He can be polarizing, but at the same time, for us, he's exactly what we're looking for.
Coach, we appreciate the time very much. Best of luck as you get your season started. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. Be well.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Take care. Ron.